Time with Dad's Heating and Cooling. Today's YouTube video is going to be about servicing an Aire power humidifier model 110. So whenever you service a furnace or any type of equipment, the first thing you should do is turn the power switch off. Now turning the power switch off is very important to working on any equipment. It's the very first step for a couple of reasons. One, you want to be very careful, and if you ever work on any heating or air conditioning equipment, you're doing so at your own risk, because this stuff is incredibly dangerous. There's a lot of stories about people getting hurt. This stuff could kill you if you're not careful. It's high voltage, it's gas. This unit here, much of it, once you turn the power off, you're 99%, not 100%, but you're 99% safe. If you ever handle electric wiring, handle it as though it was live. Just always assume the power's on, because this can kill you. Now again, if you want to mess with your furnace, or if you want to service your air conditioner, if you want to service your Aire humidifier or any products, you do so at your own risk. This is very dangerous. So please, if you're going to service your humidifier, do so at your own risk. So, after we've got the power off, you want to be able to physically look at that before you reach in. The very first step to servicing a model humidifier is to unplug the power. Now, our power switch is off. This is completely safe. Now, with the Aire, you'll notice there's a plug right here. And I'm going to show you the plug. Be right back. Aire power humidifier model 110. This unit is very old, and with the right service, a humidifier like this can last many years. Aire humidifiers are, in my opinion, the one I'm most familiar with. And there's another brand called General Humidifier. They're not a bad humidifier. They're a little more expensive than the Aire. This is the Aire. I believe they're stationed in Wisconsin, so I'm pretty sure they're still made in America. And again, this humidifier will deliver a good amount of humidity. It will elevate your humidity level from maybe 20 or 30%, as much as maybe 40 to 50% humidity. But you don't want to get too much humidity into your house, because you could have a problem with condensation. So this will deliver so much humidity that your windows could end up having condensation forming on them. And so much condensation can form on a window, it can begin to rot out your window sills and the wood. It will produce that much moisture. And in my house, which it isn't real well insulated, if I crank this up so much, my walls will start to condensate, and you'll have streaks of water coming down the walls, and that's when you turn the humidity down. Now, my personal preference for humidification is to turn it off during the day and run it full power at night. Some people run their humidifiers constantly. The size of your humidifier is going to determine how much humidity is delivered to your home. So obviously, how big your home is and how much square feet or cubic feet, I guess you would say, but how much area is your particular humidifier going to service. For example, if you have a smaller house, you can get by with a smaller model. And I'm going to have another video on the more modern Aire humidifiers, but this humidifier is beautiful. It's one of the older ones. It's kind of old school like me. I love that. So again, getting back to the servicing, I do believe that this Aire humidifier is not as easy to service as like a furnace filter. When it's so easy with a furnace filter, you simply slide it out. With a water panel, it's a little different than an air filter. These water panels should be replaced every year. Depending upon your usage, I like to change it about halfway through the winter season. Now, I work my humidifier very hard, and I'm convinced that humidification makes your skin drier. I have a real bad problem with hangnails and my skin drying up. When I put my humidifier up and I replace the water panel and when I replace the water panel every season, or sometimes twice a year, you'll notice that the first couple of months, you get a lot more humidification as the water panel is new. I'll show you a water panel. Again, Don Burton here with Dad's Heating and Cooling. Today's video, we're going to replace the Aire Model 110 humidifier with a brand new water panel. This will dramatically increase the amount of humidification going into your home. Every season, this water panel should be replaced. I replaced mine. Try to do this like this. Now, if you'll notice, this saddle valve is completely frozen shut. So I have a secret what I do. Disconnect this water line. But if we don't shut the water off before we disconnect this pipe, guess what will happen? You guessed it, water will leak out. So what I usually do is I close the water off to this unit. Now, if you'll notice, this pipe goes all the way up here into a saddle valve. I don't know if this can be seen. I'll show you. Now, if you'll notice, this saddle valve is completely frozen shut. So I have a secret what I do. Situation when you can't get the little tiny saddle valve off, what I recommend is shut off the entire house water supply. Temporarily, we're going to turn this back on in about maybe a half an hour. It's also a good idea to tell the customer you're going to shut the water off for about 10 or 15 minutes. Now we can remove the water line. I wish I could have shut it off just at the saddle valve, but this saddle valve that we noticed is completely rusted, open. There's no way of closing it. It just makes a mess. So the quickest way to do this is to shut the water off to the whole house, and then we begin to loosen the pipe. Now again, this isn't the easiest humidifier in the world to service because the world we live in takes a little work. You have to take this, and I always say I'm using an adjustable wrench here. This is a 1/2-inch wrench to take off the water valve. So we're going to remove the water line, and we're going to use some backup. We don't want to just loosen that without putting this wrench in because you'll twist this piece. Now a little bit of water will come out, but you'll notice that's not too bad because that's just a little residual water, so it shouldn't be too bad. Then, once we remove the water, we remove this drip tube. These tubes should come right off. Wouldn't hurt to have a little clamp on there, but you don't necessarily need a clamp on there because this hose usually is pretty strong. Comes off pretty easy. Hey folks, Don here with Dad's Heating and Cooling. I'm going to use my top 10 favorite tools here. This is a DeWalt drill, really nice piece of equipment, got a little light in it. And again, what I use is a little flexible. This is kind of nice. Magnetic tip kind of holds your piece in there. You can get around with all kinds of things. This is a nice tool to have. So again, got to be real careful with our chuck setting. I've got it on the 3rd loosest. We're loosening screws here, so we don't have to worry too much about how tight it is. And again, you want to put the screws into place while you forget them and never find them again. So again, we loosen this up. I start with the bottom screws first because the top screw here will hold itself on a little bit. So when you remove the bracket, you want to remove the bottom screw first and then the top screw. Excuse me for turning my back on you, sorry about that. So what we'll do is this here, put this on. Nothing's more fun than that, folks. What could be more fun? And then we've got our water line disconnect, we have our drip tube disconnected, and then we have our 2-wire disconnected. So with a little help from above, we give this baby a bump. going right down. Just like that. Then you place the humidifier in a safe area. Be right back. Installing the new water panel, we simply rehook the unit up. First of all, move everything out of the way. Sets right on there. And we take our brackets, trying to remember which one's which. Again, getting back to our drill, you got to be very careful. This is a clutch activated drill. You want the loosest, the weakest power setting, the most gentle power setting, because if you put too much torque on this, you could strip these screws out very easily. They're simply screwed into sheet metal. It doesn't take much to strip these, so be very careful as far as how hard it is. You line up your bracket. There's one. Two. Three. Four. Good to go. Then we take our water line, hook it back up. You notice how that screws in. Tighten it down. Again, you don't have to over tighten too much. When tightening down water lines, just as loose as possible, and then without it dripping, and then just a tiny bit. You do not want to over tighten this. It doesn't have to be that tight because you're going to have to get it off later. So basically you want to put it down to a little bit right there. It's just a little tight, hand tight, and then 1/6 of a turn. There, that's all it takes. You don't have to torque this down. Take our water tube up, plug in our two wire contact here, plug the unit in, our drip tube's on, and again, now, when we're all done, is when we turn the furnace on. Turning the water on.